What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I have the newest release from Viseart to share with y'all today, and that is going to be the Sireneuse Étendu palette. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm not, but this palette is part of their Pro line, so it's going to be a 12-pan palette. It does retail for $44, but it is currently on sale for Black Friday on their website, so if you've been eyeing this one and thinking about picking it up, now may be the time to do so. But the color story in here really caught my eye. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Yes, it's a neutral palette, but let's be honest, most Viseart palettes are. Not all of them, but most of them are, especially when it comes to their matte shades. So it's always the shimmers that sort of bring the palette to life and are what really get me excited for their palettes. And this one is no exception to that. We have some beautiful duochromes in here, like this purple to green one down here that really caught my eye. But then we have this really kind of interesting champagne to green topper shade up here, and this black and green with sparkles I think is beautiful. It would make a stunning smoky eye look. Now, I'm excited about this one, even though it's a more neutral leaning palette, because Viseart has my absolute favorite formula across the board of all time. If you were to come to me and say, hey, I've never tried eyeshadow before, where do I begin? I'm going to send you to the Viseart website because their formula is just so easy to use. It's fail-proof, it's very sophisticated, and it looks beautiful on all eyelids, especially if you have more mature lids and you're worried about accentuating texture, it being too pigmented or not being pigmented enough and getting creasing and fallout. I never get that with their shadows, and their shimmers are stunning. They are very smoothing and flattering on the lid. So like I said, I'm excited about this one. We're going to create two looks with it, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my first initial impression thoughts. I will have this palette as well as everything else that I use in today's video linked and listed down below in that description box. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check that description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and zoom in, prime my eyes, and get into creating our two looks. Alright, y'all, so my lids are primed with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. Let's go ahead and dive into our first look. So for the first one, I think I want to do something a little bit more light, airy, everyday wearable. And then for the second look, we'll go in with like a full-on punch and do something kind of dark and dramatic. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this light cream colored shade right here. There are no shade names, so I'm just going to kind of point out the shade that I'm going for. Now I'm going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm going to start by kind of fluffing this into the crease and blending it up towards the brow bone. Now you're not really going to be able to see this on my skin because it's pretty much the same color. This also makes a really good blending out shade as well if you're trying to kind of soften the edges. But I'm going to use this as sort of a segue into everything else, kind of something to blend the other shades into. This is also a really good place to start if you are going to do a dark and smoky look and you want it to kind of be a little softer when you're blending them out. It kind of anchors the shades a little bit so they don't get away from you, because you do have that lighter shade to kind of dilute the pigmentation that you're putting down. Next, with that same brush, I'm going to go into this deeper sort of clay shade right here, and I'm just going to kind of put this into my crease, but kind of concentrating it more so on the outer corner of my eye. So I'm just going to kind of pick that shade up, press it down, and then just start blending. And you see how those are just blending so effortlessly. It's not taking a lot of elbow grease. I'm not really worried about harsh lines or anything like that, because they just sort of melt into one another, and you never have to worry about if it's going to be patchy, if you're going to get too much pigmentation, or if they're even going to build up on your skin. That looks beautiful. I'm going to bring that down onto my lower lash line as well, and I think I am going to bring this one all the way across, and then I can go back in with that lighter shade if I need to just kind of soften it out a little bit. Alright, we're going to deepen up this outer corner just a smidge. So I'm going to go into this really pretty cool tone purple shade down here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush and just very lightly pop a little bit right here in the very outer corner. I'm just going to kind of tap it on there, and then once I have it down, I can start to sort of blend it inwards just like that. And then I am going to bring this down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. So I'm just kind of wrapping that little bit of depth around my outer corner of my eye. So not too much, just a little bit. All right, so my eye is primed with my NYX glitter primer, and for all over the lid, I think I want to start with this shade up here, this really pretty duochrome that has sort of like this champagne-y to green flip to it, maybe even a little bit of like a peachy undertone to it. It's very pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. Now, you don't need to do both if you're using the Viseart formula. I just do it out of habit, but you can either prime with a glitter primer or you can spray with something to give a little bit of an extra tack and stick to the lid. But I'm gonna go ahead and press this all over the lid, and I'm gonna bring it over to the inner corner, and I'm gonna bring it over to that matte shade right here on the outer corner. And once I have that shade down, I can start to kind of blend it in and get rid of any harsh lines. But that looks absolutely beautiful. I love the way that shade looks. All right, so to finish off this look, I'm gonna go into this shade down here for the inner corner. It's just this really pretty champagne sparkly shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up with a Morphe M213 brush. It's just this teeny tiny inner corner brush. I am going to spray this one since I'm going into such a small space. And I'm just gonna pop this on my inner corner, and then I'll finish up this look with liner and mascara, keeping it very simple, very everyday, light and airy. But look at how beautiful that is. It just adds this little pop of gleam onto the inner corner. I am going to blend it up onto the lid just a little bit and down onto the lower lash line just a tiny bit as well. Alright y'all, so this is the first completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out so pretty. It is very soft, it is very everyday wearable, and I just love the way that it turned out. As much as I love colorful makeup and being super creative and having fun, this is like home base for me. This is what makes me feel comfortable, this is what makes me feel confident and beautiful, and I just love the way that it turned out. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can start creating our dark smoky look on the other eye. So to line my lid and for my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner in the shade Cinnamon, and then for mascara, I went in with my Victoria Beckham Future Lash Mascara. But let's pop into our second look. So for this one, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and start with this shade right here that I put on sort of the outer portion of my lid in the first look, and then we're going to move into these more darker shades over here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that one, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 202 brush, and I'm just going to start to put this into my crease and building up a little bit of that depth and definition. So I don't need a whole lot to do this. You can see I'm not getting any patching. It is building up in pigmentation, so you can leave it nice and soft right there, or you can go back with a little bit more and just build up that intensity. But so smooth, so buttery, and very easy to apply and blend. So next I'm going to go into this cool tone purple shade right here, and I'm going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm going to start to put this on my outer corner. So I'm kind of doing the same technique that I did in the first eye. I'm just taking it a little bit darker and I'm using different shades. So I'm going to start pressing this on my lid, and I can bring it over pretty far. It doesn't matter how far over you come because we are going to do some darker shimmer shades over top of it. But I'm going to start to kind of press it on my lid, build up the depth and the pigmentation that I want. And once I have it where I want it, I like to flip this brush onto its side and start to create my shape and just kind of blend everything together. This is one of my favorite brushes to do this with. I'm going to take that shade down onto my lower lash line as well, and I'm going to bring it about halfway over. So regardless of how far over I brought it on the lid, I'm going to take it to about the midpoint on my lower lash line. Alright, so to deepen up the outer corner, I'm going to go into this deep brown shade right here. It is sort of a satin, so it has a little bit of a sparkle to it, but it's not a full-on shimmer like we have over here. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush. I just wiped it off really good, plus the shade I used before wasn't this dark. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up on my brush, and I'm going to put this right here in the very outer corner of my lid. And like I did in the first look, I'm going to wrap it around down onto the lower lash line as well, just giving me that added depth. But I am going to bring it in a little further than I did in the first look, just because I really want to smoke this out and get lots of deepness with this one. All right, so for the rest of my lower lash line, I'm going to go back into this first shade that we used, and I'm just going to smoke it along the rest of my lower lash line, bringing it over to the inner corner and sort of blending everything out so we don't have any harsh lines. All right, so my lid is primed and ready to go, and we're gonna go into this blackened green shade right here with all the shimmer sparkles in it, and I'm gonna put this all over my lid. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I'm gonna coat my brush really, really well with the shade, and I am gonna spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. Since this is a darker shade, I wanna maintain as much control as I possibly can. So this is also a little bit of a more dense brush as well. And I'm gonna start by pressing this all over my lid. I don't want to do swiping motions because I don't want to get any fallout. You might get a little bit of fallout with the deeper shimmer shades if you go in too whimsical and really start to fluff it on there. So I just like to be extra careful. So I'm just going to press this, and I'm going to bring it over to about right there. So not all the way over to my inner corner, because I definitely want to bring something a little lighter and brighter in there. All right, I want to sort of blend this together right here on the outer corner where we have that harsh line going on. So I'm going to go in with this really pretty duochrome shade down here that has like this purple to green flip to it. And I'm going to pick that up with my BK Beauty 203 brush. And again, I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus. And I'm just going to pop this right along that line of demarcation so that we can soften it up and get rid of it. And that duochrome flip is really going to help to blend it all together. So see how I'm just kind of pressing it right there, and once I have that shade where I want it, I can go back and forth with kind of wiggling motions and make sure that I blend it really good. All right, to finish this look off, I want to go into this really pretty gold shimmer shade right here and pop that in my inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M421 brush. Again, spray it and just sort of pop it in my inner corner, and then I can go in with liner and mascara and finish up this look. Again, I am going to kind of blend it down onto my lower lash line, blend it up onto my lid, and where that dark green shimmer shade stopped, I'm going to make sure that I really blend those two together so we can get rid of that harsh line. All right, y'all, so this is the second completed look with this palette, and I do think this turned out absolutely beautiful. I'm not one who typically likes a dark smoky look on me just because I do have smaller eyes and it can make them look a little closed off and not so open and bright, which is what I prefer. So with that being said, I did take a little bit of this duochrome right here and just kind of tap it over top of this shade just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. I still have a beautiful dark smoky eye, but it was a little too dark for my personal preferences, but I do think it turned out absolutely beautiful. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the lights and we can see that shimmer and sparkle, and then we can close out this video with my first initial impression thoughts. So I did go in with the same liner and mascara that I went in for the first look. The only difference is I decided to line my lid with my ZC liquid eyeliner just to give a little bit more depth and smokiness to the look. All right, y'all, so based off of first impression, I think this is a really pretty little palette. Is it my favorite color story from the brand? No, unfortunately. There are other ones that I like more, but that doesn't mean that I don't like this color story. I just prefer a little bit more warmth to my eyeshadow looks, but I do think this one is really pretty. Now, I recognize that Viseart is not for everyone. If you love indie brands at heart and you want that extra punch and flip to your shimmers and you want more pigmented mattes, this is not going to be the formula for you. But if you're someone who just wants a very simple, user-friendly formula that can take you from day to night, this is a really pretty palette, especially if you like the mixture of cool tones and warm tones in this palette, because we do have a really good mixture of both, and I think they did a fantastic job bringing us that color story. As far as the mattes in here go, they perform the exact way that I expect them to. I did get to every single matte in here except for this one right here. This one is just a little bit deeper than this one over here, and I probably should have used it, but I wasn't even thinking about it. But they did go on beautifully. They blended out really nicely. They built up in pigmentation, and I didn't have any issues as far as fallout, patching, skipping, or anything like that goes. And the shimmers in here are stunning, at least the ones that I got to. I think there's only 2 shades in here that I did not use, which are these right here. So out of a 12 pan palette between 2 looks, we got to 8 of the actual shades in here, and I didn't have any issues. The shimmers are very flattering on my lid. They're very smooth. Even this darker one right here, before I topped it off with this shade, did look very smooth and flattering on my lid. It was just a little dark for my personal preference, but if this color story calls to you and you want something that's going to be very user-friendly, very easy to use, that you can wear on the daily, I absolutely recommend this palette. But there are other color stories from the brand that I love a little bit more, so if you're interested in the formula and you've never tried it before, I say now's the time to head over to the Viseart website, because they are having their Black Friday sale. Some palettes are up to 60% off, and they have beautiful color stories and an impeccable formula. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you picked up this palette, if you're planning on it, if you are a Viseart person or not. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel, because I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.